welcome everybody to this panel, which is full of different and special things. And ain't that what we are all about as working class people? I'm going to hand over very shortly to Fraser Mycroft. Obviously, you know, there is a relation there. And Fraser is an social anthropology graduate from the South Yorkshire homelands, the former coalfields, and he is living in Edinburgh now. And really, he was the start of it all. So I'm going to shut up now and hand over to you. We want to bring the panel to a close, and I know this will be a challenge for in 20 minutes. So that is going to be 10:12. Over to you, Frey.
Right, timing, not a strong point from any of us in this room. So let's see. Yeah, very high praise. It was not me that started it at all. Solidarity Spaces, you know, we got together at the start of the first lockdown in 2020, actually from, I think, multiple breakdowns happening across everywhere and struggling to just figure out what to do with ourselves and to do with our anger and our frustration and our upset. And so actually finding this space together, that's what we did. We meet every 2 weeks and we just let out everything, all that baggage, all the emotions, all the frustration, lots of calls for bringing back a guillotine, things like that. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. We usually will meet for about an hour and a half, just with an open-ended question about how are you and how do you feel today, but obviously shorter time today, and we want to just give you a little taste of what we do without exposing ourselves too much. You know, these are very private spaces where people can feel completely open and honest and not be judged by anything that they say. So we are just going to run through today with a specific question in mind. The order is in the chat. That's what we do every time. Anyone can start. And the question we are going to be thinking about, to give you all a little glimpse of what we do, is how this solidarity space has helped us to connect our working class voice over the past year and a half. So yeah, whoever wants to begin, take it away.
I'll dive in so I can get my nerves out the way. For me, I find as an educator, there's lots of opportunity for me to talk about things like gender, race, sexuality, etc. In fact, many of the characteristics that are protected legally, but rarely, really, up until this group, would there have been a space where I would talk about class and where I could really openly and honestly kind of ask questions or try and understand stuff that had almost been invisible to me and hidden. Yeah, so I think that essentially is it. It's been a kind of revelation where I've kind of thought, oh yeah, oh God, yeah, that's why. So that's my bit, and I'm going to hand over to Joanna.
I think what I found really useful and continue to find useful about the space is to have a space to talk about things that are not permissible in public. And I'd like to give one example from this solidarity space. I'm a associate lecturer, and during lockdown, I was unceremoniously fired in that the international students were not coming through and all the courses were cancelled. Of course, there was no communication around this. So I was just left there. Me and many, many others were just left there. And I remember being on the university website one particular day, and the main image on that website was of the university going around to all of the halls of residence with food hampers for international students to support them, make sure they were all right, etc., which I thought was great. However, not recognizing that all of the hourly paid teachers that they had sacked had no food and had nothing to eat. And really, I think it's very difficult to go into middle class and upper middle class managers and rant about this, but this space gave me that. And that's one example where I felt that I wasn't going mad, there was nothing wrong with me, and that the discrimination that I've experienced wasn't something that I had to internalize and deal on my own. So that's just one example in terms of how the space has kind of helped me to kind of rant about my working class identity and working class lived experiences. Thank you. Next,
It's
who's
me.
next? Jay. Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Is that right? Gosh, this space means an awful lot to me, an awful lot to me. I will be forever grateful for being part of this space and being part of a group where I feel I can truly be myself. And there aren't many spaces that allow me to do that, which is sad, isn't it? It's really sad. I want to just make reference to something that Lisa talked about in her opening keynote, actually, about language. So I work for a charity with working class young people, and it's all about, helping them to really kind of push themselves forward in spaces and be proud of working class roots and be proud of being working class. If I hear one more time people refer to the young people that I work with as hard to reach, I will lose my, you know what I mean? Because they're not hard to reach. You're just not trying hard enough. It's you, the problem is you. It's not the young people who are hard to reach. You're not moving close enough to them in the first place. Come down from your ivory tower, and then you might actually be able to listen to those young people. Sorry, just needed to get that off my chest because Lisa's chat just really sparked something in me. But yeah, in terms of this space, I spend all day, every day, trying my very, very best to support young working class people fight the inequalities that we face every day and those hidden inequalities that we face every day. And so the solidarity space helps me to consolidate my work, but it also gives me the space. I'm so focused on young people day to day that it gives me the space to find my voice, to articulate the things that I want to say, the experiences that I've had, the challenges that I'm coming up against in a very, very safe environment. And I just want to make something really clear from my point of view. It's not an echo chamber. And this language, this divisive language that comes up all the time, echo chamber, confirmation bias, which is obviously really a thing, but it's often weaponized. Oh, well, you just want to be in a space where people are reaffirming well, yeah, I do. Of course I do. Because I don't get it anywhere else. And other people do. And we need to think about why. Anyway, I'm going to stop now because I don't want to take too much time up.
I think it's very hard to follow such a powerful talk there, Becky, and it's always so beautiful to hear everybody leading up to taking your turn in this space. I'm so grateful for this space. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm aware that we all joined this space apologizing for who we are and how we've been classified. We grew out of being apologetic into unapologetic, affirmative, feminist, solidarity for people. And this circle has, it's been a container, not an echo chamber. It's been a safety space where we have the affirmative voices that we deserve outside of it. And I think this enables us to charge up and leave the space with more power than we had entering it. And I think all of us realize how important it is, because the 2-week gap is a countdown to each time we then join again and find that strength in solidarity. I think what it's done for me is it's reminded me that the people in power, wherever we are obsessed with classification. Class comes from the word classification, and vice versa. They talk to each other. People in power are obsessed with classifying human worth according to employment. And I am so grateful that in the opening speech, Lisa mentioned those of us who are working class but unemployed. Employment isn't our identity, and this space gave me the strength to identify that, to counter that, to resist that. Class is a way of doing human taxonomy. We're classified, we're ordered, we're told where to stay. This space dispels that, and I'm so very grateful for having the opportunity to be a part of it.
See, I think this just goes to show already, we've come up with this question to show you all while protecting ourselves, because it gets so emotional. I feel so emotional already. This is just us. This is what we do every time. And that's why I love it. Like, you can have the absolute worst day, the worst week, the worst 2 weeks, the worst whatever, and you come in here and you just, the appreciation for each other. My mum had mentioned at the start, this came about because I had called her in the first lockdown and I couldn't speak because I was so upset. I was so angry. I was sobbing. I couldn't figure out any way to process my anger and process my class. So for those who don't know, I do live in Edinburgh. I moved to Edinburgh Uni to study anthropology, very, very middle class subject with lots of its own restrictions and issues. And from leaving uni, felt myself trapped kind of in between with friends who are amazing, but don't have any understanding of where we have come from, where I have come from, and unable to talk to anyone. So to find these people, these amazing, beautiful, lovely people that you see on your screen, it has connected me to my own voice and my own resistance, keeping that anger, because that anger is important, but they've given me the words and the support and the motivation to push forward to do something and not just shout and throw things whenever I'm angry. You know, it's, yeah, I could just, this is just me gushing at this point about the solidarity space, but that's what it's done. It's helped me connect with these people who, most of whom I've never met in the flesh ever. And the day that we do that will be the most momentous day. I will pass on because this is what I do every time. I just start rambling because I just filled with so much love. All right.
Yeah, it's a weird thing for me because I got no idea how I ended up in this group, because I don't consider myself to be an academic at all. There's similarly to Becky, I work in the community. I do a bit of teaching, sessional teaching, adult education, but I've not got a degree. And I always sort of feel that, I suppose, a little bit intimidated. I work in an organisation that is very, you know, research driven, and everyone's a professor, and you know, that sort of thing. So I think this group's given me a real chance to reflect on the work that I do. And I work with asylum seekers and people who've been trafficked, and you know, I suppose we're talking about class in this country, but class comes right into it. It's the way people are treated. It's the lack of power over policy and decisions that are being made about you, and it's massively about education and people's access to it, and who's controlling what's being taught, and all of that sort of stuff comes into it. And interesting that somebody said, do you think class will ever become a protected characteristic? Because I was teaching the Equality Act to a group of students, level 1 health and social care, just a couple of weeks ago, and the conclusion in the ensuing debate was that in order to do that, we would have to get rid of the monarchy. So it's not very likely to happen because people are quite fond of the monarchy at the moment. And I think another interesting thing that came up in the debate is money. And actually, my daughter, when Lisa was speaking, she's just knocked on the door to tell me in delight that she's been accepted as an independent student. She's 24, to go to university in September, and actually she's probably going to be the first in the family to graduate, because I dropped out, my son dropped out, my parents didn't go, you know, so we've all been massive disappointments. But she's actually supported herself from leaving school. Actually, when she was at school, she was working at Krispy Kreme, got sick to death of donuts. But, you know, she's always supported herself. She moved out, lived with a friend. The only reason that she's back at home living, I suppose, as a dependent is because she's, because of COVID, you know, because not being able to afford it. And I'm not that's just a massive class thing when it comes to academia, that people, you know, how much harder it is for working class kids to be able to actually go to university in the first place, not because they're not bright enough, but because they've not got that financial support behind them. And I think I'm going to wind up because I can see we're getting quite close to the end. But yeah, you can't talk about it without talking about money. And I watched the Kathy Burke documentary on Channel 4 this week, which I thought was really interesting. First of all, that she couldn't get anyone who had come from inherited money to speak to her. Everybody was sort of self-made, people had come from really, really poor backgrounds, and the fear of not having any money was still there in all of them, including the guy who got in a helicopter to go off to work every morning. I've never had a permanent contract in my life. It's always 2 years at a time. So that doesn't get taken into account when they're looking at my child's university application, though. Yeah, my wage is all right this year, but over a course of time as a single parent, I've got no safety net behind that. And I think that's what this group has given me, a chance to be able to say that out loud with people who actually understand what that feels like, because I feel that a lot of the people that I work with, my colleagues, are not in that same position. And I think I can't see the chat anymore.
We've done a round.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna.
Well, God, fantastic timing. Sorry for interrupting, but like I can't believe that we timed that so well.
Jane, we've still got some time to go.
I'll let you wind up and maybe explain how people can set up their own solidarity spaces.
Yeah, we'll do it. Just before that as well, we are going to just do, as is really important, whenever we do this space and do any sort of thinking environment rounds, we just take a quick round just to decompress, move out of the space. So we're going to really try and minimize it, because my one usually goes on about saying, bring back the guillotine, I need a fag and a drink, that type of thing. So we're just going to, 3 words each, we're just going to go around again, same order, anyone can start, and just with 3 words, how are you feeling, to just navigate ourselves out of the space again.
I'll pick up, start the round again then. 3 words. Proud, warm, relieved. Over to Joanna.
Grant, unfortunately, I have 8. This comes from Lisa Shipman. I can't resist it. In the chat, she said, I spend 90% of my time swallowing rage. Oh, I just love it. Thank you very much. Becky.
Supported is the first word that I would use. I'm going to nick Joe's. Proud. I'm immensely proud. And privileged. Privilege comes in all forms, doesn't it? And I feel really, really privileged. Thank you.
Affirmative, solidarity, and we're not our jobs, we are people. That's more than 3 words.
Supported, empowered, and rageful, but good rageful, always rageful.
Is it me? Sorry, I really need tea.
Perfect. And we've got 2 minutes left. So thank you to everyone for watching this, giving you a little glimpse of what we do. And thank you to our beautiful Solidarity team. Love you all so much. Yeah, just a quick thing. We obviously, we get quite deep and we get quite personal and quite private. So we are hopefully suggesting for you to go away and create your own solidarity spaces so that we are not just one, we are one in a constellation of different spaces that will support each other and push each other and keep ourselves angry and empowered and all of that. Keep an eye, like try and get in touch with us if you want, hashtag solidarity spaces. We will be there to give anyone a hand in getting this set up. And just thank you so much for having us and for listening to us just talk about ourselves. It was great.
Fantastic work. I'm not crying, you're crying. I am so, so proud of you all. Shout out to Jodie Rees and Amber Taylor-Smith, who couldn't join us today, who are also with us every other Friday. We weren't sure whether this would resonate with you or not. We weren't sure if it would land. From the chat, which you guys have probably not had a chance to have a look at, it has really landed. I have got a score of names here of people who want to get involved in a solidarity space. So we had nothing prepared, but what I'm going to do over the next, hopefully today, but over the next 2 days, is actually put together a bit of guidance. And, you know, we are more than happy to help you set up your own solidarity space. But let's give, I'll go back through the chat and see who said they're interested. Let's give a massive round of applause. I'm so proud of you, son. I'll stop it now. I'll stop it for the whole panel. Clapping. Fantastic.